baby. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Buffalo End Zone Podcast, everyone. Welcome to the Buffalo End Zone Podcast, everyone. We are here. Everyone's been waiting for the postseason since last year's season came to an end in the divisional round to those pesky Kansas City Chiefs once again. But a new shot right here, 13-4 regular season. But now, here we are in the playoffs, and now it's do or die. Kevin Carroll, Andy Young, former Bills wide receivers, Stevie Johnson with you. We're here at Big Ditch Brewing Company live to bring you this special Buffalo End Zone podcast as Stevie, the playoffs are finally here around the corner. Start with the Denver Broncos coming up. Wild card game at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, which, to be honest with you, love it.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful, man. It's something that we've been waiting for, like you said, since the end of last season. And now you see what the Buffalo Bills have done going into this season. 13 big dubs. I mean, that was amazing. You know, you got to think about the times back in the past, setting a franchise record with wins, or tying a franchise record with wins. This is those times. This is those golden ages, and we're living in it right now, so it's pretty special for us.
You and I had 13 wins on the season back during training camp.
Young,
not so much.
Yeah, I picked the Jets to win the division. When you're wrong, you're wrong, right?
No way. Hey, I'm proud of you for being able to accept that, man.
Look, I thought that they would take a little bit of a step back, have a little bit of a reset year. We talked all throughout the offseason about the pieces they lost, but we didn't take into account the pieces they had, right? Josh Allen, the continuity with Sean McDermott, what Brandon Beane has set up that got this team to continue the success and maybe even a better version than what we saw in years past.
Yes.
Guys, here we go. Let's hit the opening drive as we kick things off right now. And I look at it this way. I've been thinking about this a lot going into this postseason. This is the most confident I felt since they lost in that 13 seconds game to the Kansas City Chiefs a few years ago. The last couple of years going into the postseason, guys, you had the DeMar Hamlin incident. You had the Bills basically having to win out late in the season to either get in and be the 2 seed or possibly not even get in at all. This team's been on cruise control since the beginning of the month, Stevie, and it looks like this is one of those postseasons that's just set up for success.
Yeah, the team's been on cruise control, but they put that work in early, you know. So it's like you put in work, now you get your opportunity to rest at the end. We've seen the team evolve. You know, they went from a team where, okay, maybe they can make plays or we need somebody to step up to make plays other than Josh, to a team that we realize anybody can make the play, and they have shown that. You know, we don't have any question in a Mac Hollins being able to make a play, a Dawson Knox or a Ty Johnson or a Ray Davis. There's so many pieces and weapons that has proven themselves, which set them up to be comfortable towards the end of the year right now, going into the playoffs healthy, rested, and recovered, and ready to dominate a Denver Bronco team that we should dominate easily.
Danny, big picture here. Start with the Broncos. If things go the way I think many think it's going to go, it's then the Ravens, then the Chiefs to get to New Orleans.
Yeah, definitely. I think you don't want to overlook the Broncos because they're a good team. I know Mr. Johnson here is very confident what's going to happen, but I think the Broncos, you don't want to overlook that team. They've got a tough defense. Sean Payton's a proven Super Bowl winning coach, but you look at the overall big picture, the road sets up, right? You're going to have the Ravens here potentially.
Right.
Then maybe you go to Kansas City. We'll see about that. Is this the year they can finally get over that hump? I think they've got the tools in place to do it, but they've got to put it together each and every week over the next 3.
Well, so it's not that I'm overlooking the Broncos.
Okay.
It's just like Broncos they're the 7th seed, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and I feel like if we're worried about the Denver Broncos, then when we go into the play against the possible Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to be worried out my mind. And if I'm worried about the Broncos, then imagine what I'm going to be feeling like going against the Ravens when we do meet up with them. So I'm not going to be concerned at all with the Denver Broncos. I feel like the Buffalo Bills have proven themselves over and over week in and week out against teams like this. And I think nothing's going to change. They're undefeated at home. I don't see the Denver Broncos being a team to break the undefeated streak at home against the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs especially.
That's a good point right there, too. I mean, I'm the guy that really, I'm not worried. I just look at this and I keep thinking that this is going to be, Andy, just a repeat of when the Patriots came here a few years ago in the wild card round, that it might be tight early, but then the Bills will start to put something together and then going to pull away with it. I'm not saying it's going to be another perfect game like it was against the Patriots. Rookie quarterback, tough head coach with a tough defense who've won Super Bowls, kind of the same scenario here.
Yeah, and you look at the way the Bills have gotten here. They've won in such a variety of ways. They've won a couple close games. They've won blowouts. They've won running the football. They've won with Josh Allen playing hero ball. They've won with a whole different host of ways to get it done. So that sets them up for success in the postseason, especially in this Buffalo weather. We know if the playoff road continues, a lot of cold weather sites. I think that really bodes well for them being tested and ready to go for a situation like this.
Indeed.
Stevie, and you get by the first round, say you're playing the Ravens. I know the Ravens beat the Bills earlier in the season, but complete different feel and look to the Bills than what we had there. And, yeah, they went out and got Amari Cooper a few weeks after that, and that added to it. But it just a completely different feel. That Ravens game early in the season was just a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, including that trick play to Josh Allen. I vaguely remember that just got blown up, and it looked like Allen would – it just – they seem to be in a better place entering the playoffs.
Yeah, right now they're definitely in a better place. The Baltimore Raven game, I want to forget about it because the feeling that I had while watching that game, I felt like it was unfair, with their offense going up against our defense. So when it comes to that game, I'm not as afraid of their defense to stop our offense, especially at home. But if that offense get a head of steam with Derrick Henry and being in the cold, I mean, it can get difficult for us. So that's the game that I will think about if it gets to that. But my ultimate confidence is with the Bills still because we have the home field advantage, and we know what that can do playing against the Raven team.
Stevie, let me ask you this. As a player, when you were getting ready for big games, and we always hear from players and coaches, it's just the next game. No big game is bigger than the next. But this is a playoff game. This is a big game. What do you think the player's mindset is about transitioning and getting up and getting ready for the highest of stakes? When you lose, you go home.
Yeah, for me personally, I would get a little too amped. And sometimes that can be a problem, and we heard that with different players around the league also. I heard it with Lamar Jackson. He's saying his playoff situations because he was a little bit too amped up and hyped up. So it's kind of a catch-22 because you want to be cool and calm, but you don't want to be so calm to where you come out there lackadaisical or lethargic looking, and you miss a couple series because we know how serious these games get to. It comes down to either the last play or getting that one first down that we needed. So it's just about being locked in and loving the moment, you got to love what you're doing and love your teammates, and understand that situations is going to happen and it's not going to all be good, but you got to get through it, and that's what's going to prevail or carry the Buffalo Bills over to prevail.
All right, we have other guests joining us this evening who are also covering the Buffalo Bills, and we're going to kick things off. You might be familiar.
I know that guy.
I think everyone's familiar with Sal Capaccio, WGR 550, Bill's sideline reporter.
Longtime friend of Buffalo End Zone. And
used to be on Buffalo End Zone with us, and thanks for joining us.
I'm literally texting my mom right now to tell her I'm on TV. I just want you guys to know that.
Mom.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I want to tell
First time?
She no. I'm a radio guy. They say I have a face for radio. So
There we
thanks.
go.
Yeah, trying to let my mom know too, but I can't figure it out. So good luck to her. Sal, when you look at this playoff, the Bills going into it this year as opposed to years past since Josh Allen got here, what's your feeling?
Well, listen, if you would have said to me in August, and I'm sure people did, like, what's a successful season? I think after losing Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Mitch Morse, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, I'd be like, hey, if you can win this division, that'd be amazing, right? They weren't even the betting line favorites to win the division. That was the New York Jets. But now we're here.
Right.
Now they're the 2 seed. Now they've had 13 wins. Now they have what could very well be the MVP of the league. So now all bets are off and you have to win. And I just think we go back to the pressure that gets back on this team again. I love the fact that I think going into these playoffs that Josh has been so good at taking care of the football this year as opposed to years past. Now, in the playoffs, he's always been good at taking care of the football. Look up his playoff stats. They've been great as far as turnovers. That's right. But I do think that this year, what I like the difference is this is a guy that's playing at an MVP level without having that variance with the turnovers.
Indeed. I like that what Sal was saying. It's peace of mind is what I get from Josh Allen this year. He's able to do whatever he wants to with peace of mind. Whether he makes a mistake or not, he knows nobody's going to be looking him down or having to talk to him.
Let me ask you a question, Stevie, because you and Fitz had a special relationship.
Indeed.
You were the number one receiver, and you had other guys. Now, I don't think you're the same personality as Stefon Diggs. That's not what I'm asking. But isn't there something to the effect when you have a personality like Stefon Diggs, even if he's a great guy and a great teammate, does it weigh on a quarterback to say, I just got to kind of make sure he gets his? And if he's not getting it, how much that weighs into what he's thinking? And maybe he kind of feels relief not having that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I bring up that peace of mind, because it's a natural feeling when you know you got another star athlete that needs to get his numbers, that wants to get his numbers, that has gotten numbers in the past. So you kind of expect to help him. You know, you guys are connected for a reason, for him to prevail and for you to prevail. So when it doesn't happen, you kind of get that natural, hey, bro, come on, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, and we don't have any of that. Josh don't have any of that to deal with. And that's whether you pass it to like a Amari or Mac Hollins once in the game or even look at him one time. He don't have to worry about no talking, no extra talking. So that's peace of mind, and it can take you far, you know.
And I think that's what I see from Josh. You know, they have this everybody eats mantra.
Yep.
And I think they've really adhered to that this year. Look, I mean, they scored 44 points in Detroit. Amari Cooper had 0 targets in that game, right? You didn't have to throw it to him.
It's been someone different every week.
That's exactly right. And I think this week, guys, to turn into this game, I think this week you're looking at another one of those games where this is a really, really good Broncos defense, but where they've struggled is at the second level, covering running backs, middle of the field. And I think the Bills are going to use those running backs. They're going to use the tight ends. So you might not see Amari Cooper or Keon Coleman getting all the targets with Patrick Surtain over there. You might see those guys that, again, like Detroit, where Ty Johnson had 100 yards receiving.
Guys, let's talk about the pass rush that the Broncos bring. Obviously, crushing it in sacks-wise. Josh Allen taken down Stevie just 14 times this season. He was sacked. I think Josh Allen, Stevie, we'll start with you, in position to beat the blitz. Like, he's one of those quarterbacks that has evolved right now where maybe coming after him that hard might end up just backfiring.
Yeah, and I'll credit that to what Andy was saying, you know, with situations. This team, Josh Allen in particular, he's been into many situations. So if you want to send a pressure and a blitz, he knows every way to capitalize on that pressure or blitz, whether that's with throwing the ball or using his legs. So I feel like, you know, with this being a more mature team, Josh doesn't, when he sees something, he's not surprised by it. So he knows which arsenal or which weapon to select when he sees this attack coming to him. So he's going to be cool.
And listen, this is the number one pass rush in the NFL going against the number one protection unit in the NFL, right? So something's got to give here between these two sides. And as great as the Buffalo Bills offensive line has played, they're going to have to be even more buttoned up against this Denver Broncos defense. What I like about that, though, guys, it's a home game. When the Bills are on the field on offense, it will be quiet. Josh, the offensive line, they can make their checks. They can point out where guys are coming from. That will really help, I think, in solidifying that protection.
We've talked a lot about Patrick Surtain, who's perhaps the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year, and just such a lockdown corner. And a lot of comparisons, a lot of talk this week I've seen about Darrelle Revis, a guy you're very familiar with, and you had your matchups with him, and you won quite a few of those. What does it take when you're facing a lockdown corner like that, where they want to lock down half the field with one guy and worry about the other guys as a team?
Personally, you know, as a player, you just got to study that player. You know, study the player, study the tendencies, and then, you know, do what you can to incorporate the counters to that player within the play. You know, so it's a lot of film study. As a team, I would say what we've seen with Coach Brady, he's evolved and he's done misdirection. He's getting the team up to the line with more time for Josh to read so that he can make a decision off of, okay, if Surtain is on that side and he's looking like it might be clamped up, I still have enough time to audible and do something here, or Joe Brady's design something to, like we seen in 4th and 2 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Play action, misdirection, somebody going this way, someone's going to under. It all worked out. So that's how you slow down a team that has a lockdown corner or a pass rush like the Denver Broncos. We've seen it with L.A. Rams. I feel like the Buffalo Bills got a great pass rush, but with the L.A. Rams, we couldn't get there because they was misdirection going this way, that way. So it's accounted for the
Stevie,
OC.
I was talking with Matt Collins today. We were in the locker room, and I asked Matt Collins, what makes Patrick Surtain so good? He said, you know, Of course, he's a great player. What makes him so great is he just competes all the time, every play. When you go against a DB and you know you're in for a dogfight every play, doesn't that matter too?
Yeah, it does. It does matter, but you're a dog also, right?
Right.
So and I
You
think,
have to be
yeah,
that,
exactly.
match that.
So and you see that with Mac all the time. Hey, I'm going to work. Let's get
right.
it. So I think we can balance that competition with the Denver Broncos, and I feel like we have more firepower to go along with that. So I feel like it's going to be the end of the road for the Broncos.
Yeah, and that everybody eats mantra that they've been talking about all year, to me at the start of the season, kind of wasn't feeling it. But as the season has gone on, you see it now, and as they go into the playoffs, they have so many options right now, Josh Allen, on offense, including the running backs, that this team is set up for success against a team like this.
So I'll go back to the first week of the season. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals, and on our pregame show, Chris Brown had an interview with Brandon Beane. And he asked him, did anything surprise you out of training camp? And Brandon said, I'm not surprised, but it really stuck with me. He said, I think this is the best running back room we've had since I've been here. And I've thought about that all year, where they can turn to James or Ray or Ty at any moment, and they all have their different roles, where we know James is a game breaker, and the guy has 3, 4, 40-plus yard touchdowns. He can do that, take it to the house anytime. Ray Davis is just that physical presence. And then you have Ty Johnson, that third down back. And I to your point, Kevin, I think that's what separates this group. Yes, you have your receivers and your tight ends who can be a part of it. But now you have an option. If you want to, they're going to blitz. Look, the Denver Broncos are going to blitz. Vance Joseph's going to come from all different places. I think they blitz 6th most in the league. When you have a group of running backs that understands hot reads and just a leak out, that gives Josh an opportunity to dump it down to them. They can catch the ball. I think that really is included in the everybody eats.
Absolutely.
Andy, real quick, you sat down with Dawson Knox. I was looking at the touchdown montage someone put on X about all Josh Allen's touchdowns. Dawson Knox all over the place in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it seems like that role might be there again going into this postseason.
Dawson Knox has 6 postseason touchdowns, and he has never missed the playoffs in his 6-season career. 6th year the Bills have made the playoffs in a row. Dawson Knox, one of those guys who was drafted in 2019, who's been there for every step of the way. He's got some trust with Josh Allen, right? And in big moments, Dawson Knox has made big plays. We've talked about Dalton Kincaid kind of usurping some of the touches and catches that Dawson Knox had, but we've seen throughout this season that Knox can still be an X factor, and Josh will look his way down around the goal line.
And you think about some of those touchdowns. You remember against Indy a few years ago, there's a play, Josh is almost getting tackled, and he just flicks it up to Dawson, who stayed available. Then in the perfect game against the New England Patriots, Josh is near the sidelines. Dawson becomes available in the back of the end zone. I think when you play with somebody for that long, I think about Stevie and Fitzy like this a lot, right? In a reverse order, Stevie was doing his own thing out there because he was such a great route runner, but Fitzy had to know where he was all the time. I think Dawson understands, I better be available no matter where Josh is, because it could come from anywhere.
And that goes back to the exact point we've been talking about. How do you game plan if you're a defense for the weapons that the Bills have, not knowing who's going to get the ball, where the game plan is going to go from Joe Brady?
Yeah, for the Denver Broncos, you got to be gritty. You got to rip the ball out. You got to hope for those intangibles, to be honest, because if you just try to line up and compete with this team, it's not going to work. You're going to be going out quicker than what you came in. So I think with the evolution of Bobby Babbage also being able to mix up his defense, he throws so many different coverages at teams. So do you really think that Bo Nix is going to be able to, lock in with this guy that he just met this year, only on this season, and be able to get past a Bobby Babbage defense in a hungry defensive line and D line? I mean, my bad, in linebacker unit.
Right.
It's too much. It's
well,
too much.
And you bring up a great point, Stevie. I think about Bill Belichick was on pretty much every platform, but I think it was Inside the NFL, and he did this thing where he showed how what he called Sean McDermott spins the wheel. He just spins the wheel and says, you don't know what you're going to get coming up next play. I think that's what we're in for this weekend. McDermott and Babbage spinning the wheel and saying, hey, Bo, try and figure out what we're doing. You're not going to be able to.
All right, Sal, before we let you go, a couple of quick questions we're going to ask everyone. Player that you think is going to step up, other than Josh Allen, in the postseason?
In the entire postseason or in this game?
Yeah,
it's a game
we're
by
talking
game.
they make a run here. Who's a guy that we're going to be talking about?
Ooh, make a run. Who's the guy we're going to be talking about? Okay, I'm going to say Von Miller. I think Von Miller, he has gotten better and better as the season's gone on. I heard he was on One Bills Live today down with Chris Brown and Steve Tasker. or he was with us. It was actually, I was listening to that, but he was with us, right? Do you remember what he said? It was really interesting. He said, I've only really played in pass rush situations all year, so my body's great. I'm not taking on blockers. I'm not going against big guys in the run game trying to set the edge. So I'm ready to rock and roll, and this is why you signed him. If they're going to make a run, I think Von Miller makes a few big plays.
All right.
MVP.
Final score of the game against the Broncos. What are you looking at?
I have a tough time seeing the Broncos keep up with the Bills' offense unless the Bills give them the ball, like Stevie said. Remember last year, first play of the game, they took it out of James Cook's hands.
Yeah.
Later on, Josh throws one off off of Gabe Davis's hands into the in the red zone. Later on, James Cook fumbles an exchange. 3 turnovers. They turned over 4 times, I think, in that game, actually. You can't let that happen. I don't think the Bills will let that happen. I think the Bills can get to probably low 20s. They'll try and make sure they don't make mistakes. I'll say 23. We'll give the Broncos 13. 23-13.
This guy's got the best seat in the house for it all. Right on the sidelines, WGR, the Bills radio
thanks,
broadcast, man. Thank you so much.
Josh Allen MVP, Sal?
Josh is going to win the MVP. I think he deserves the MVP. I respect anybody who votes for Lamar Jackson. I think he's had an amazing year. I think Josh is going to win it.
Before we let you go, Sal, because you brought it up a few times over the weekend, nobody in New England puts hot sauce in clam chowder. I don't know who told you that, but nobody does.
No, I was told in New England you put some hot sauce in the clam chowder. Maybe it's been a while since you've been there and they started a new thing.
It's been 22 years.
You know what I mean? But I will tell you, Chris Brown said he did it. It tastes like chicken wing soup.
All right.
That's what it said it tasted
That's
like.
fair enough. Okay.
They had it out. Everybody was doing it.
I've never heard of it. Thanks again,
You
Sal.
got it, guys. Thanks,
Thanks,
Sal.
Sal.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
All
you,
right,
brother.
we're going to do a little Ask 13 right now from some of the fans out there. And we're going to start with Cletus from South Buffalo. Cletus sounds like someone who has messaged the show before.
What up, Cletus?
Which AFC team is Buffalo's biggest threat in the playoffs?
Kansas City Chiefs is the biggest threat. Yeah, although the Baltimore Ravens, they did beat us, but I just feel like the Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason is the biggest concern for me.
You with that?
I think it's the Chiefs. You got to get over that hump. Look, we saw what Baltimore did to the Bills earlier this season. I think that was a bad night for the Buffalo Bills. I think they'll get things figured out if they face the Ravens. You got to get over that Chiefs hump. Even if maybe that's not a physical hurdle, because they've beaten them in the regular season, you got to get over that mental and emotional hurdle of beating the Chiefs when it matters most.
Indeed.
Okay, Blaze from Buffalo, New York. If you come out of retirement next season, Stevie, who would you want to play for?
For the Buffalo Bills, of course. You know, absolutely. Even though I probably won't be coming out unless it's for coaching or anything, my legs are gone, and my back is messed up. I can go on the list, but, I would definitely only want to play for the Buffalo Bills if I was to ever come back.
Plus, we need you on our team during the post-game show. The podcast.
Man, it's special.
All right, we've got more special guests with us now. ESPN's Elena Getzenberg on the Bills beat. She's joining us now. Elena, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're having a great time. Let's hear it for
you.
Elena.
Let's go. Hey. Let's go.
Elena, when you look at this Bills team and what they've accomplished throughout this season, how do you feel they're positioned heading into the playoffs for a long run?
I think they're in a good spot. I do think, and I know there's been a lot of talk about this defense is like the big question to me, especially on third down. I think they've relied so much this year on taking the ball away, and if there's playing offenses where they can't do that as well, that to me is the big question mark. Like, can this defense get off the field without getting a takeaway? But on offense, I don't know if I've ever been as confident about an offense that the Bills have had going into the postseason. They're just playing so well, so mistake-free. They only had 8 turnovers this year. That's crazy in 17 games. Like, it's insane. Wow. 8 turnovers is crazy. Wow. So to me, that's the big thing that, like, can this defense get off the field without relying on taking the ball away? Like, that to me is going to be whether or not they can go on this run or not.
Elena, let's talk about the Bills' pass rush. It's when you watch games, it seems like they're always almost to the quarterback, but not quite getting there. I think it's been a bugaboo for the team throughout the season. Now we're here in the playoffs. Maybe take it to the next level. You have to.
Oh, absolutely. That's been I feel like there's been so many times, especially late in the season, where we've been watching this defense and it's been oh, he got close. He was just there. If it had been a second more, they would have gotten a sack. And to me, that's a huge question mark, is especially I think it's the interior defensive line. To me, can they generate pressure that's going to help the outside? That's going to what are we going to see from Ed Oliver, in these playoff games? He needs to take that, think about that Detroit game. He went off and that was huge for that game. So to me, it's can those interior guys get going? And yes, you want guys like Von Miller, and obviously Greg Rousseau's had a great season, but can you get that interior pass rush? Ed Oliver, he needs to have a big postseason to me. He's going to be a key here. So they've been close, but not consistent with the sacks.
Collectively, I'm with Elena on that. I was thinking of which one player, but really I feel like it's a group, and it's that D-line and specifically the interior. If we can, like she said, stuff the run, put that pressure on quarterbacks, stop them without a turnover, that's huge. That's a big factor. And then getting tackles at the first level, as opposed to getting tackles at the second level with our safeties and things like that. That'll stop the team and make them work even harder to get those first downs and extended drives. So yeah, I'm with you, Elena, on the defensive line and the interior being a big part of this game.
Stevie, Elena mentioned getting off the field on third down, which has been another tough job for this Bills defense. Thoughts on that as they start to rev up this postseason here?
Yeah, my thoughts on that is we've been, like everybody's saying, we've been just right there. We've been that close to getting a quarterback. I think, nothing's wrong. They got to continue doing what they're doing, and they'll get there, because I don't see them doing anything wrong with their approach to getting the pressure on quarterbacks. It's just about, finally making a play. Maybe this week will be the week that they do get there, So I'm not really concerned. I just feel like they just wasn't there at the times, You was going against a great quarterback like Matt Stafford. I've seen that a lot where they was close, but they didn't get there. But you're dealing with a guy like Stafford who understands pressure, understands how to, dot a defense up. And so, yeah, I have really no worries, though, other than that.
Elena, what do you think about the Matt Milano situation? And as he ramps back up into the postseason here, dealt with so much in terms of injuries over the last couple of years, comes back after that long layoff and then misses another game. Is he in the right place? We know he will be mentally, and he knows, and he's got great instincts and knows where to be, but is his speed where it needs to be to combat those kinds of players?
Yeah, when Stevie was actually talking about getting those tackles, I thought of Matt actually, because he's not, and you wouldn't expect him to be. He's where someone who's coming back from the significant injuries that he's had after, oh my God, he didn't play for over a year. We're talking about someone who missed a lot of time on the football field. And no, he doesn't look like the Matt Milano who left that Jaguars game in London injured. That's not where he's at. So I think that is something to keep an eye on, because his speed has been lacking at times. I remember a couple missed tackles in recent games that it's been ooh, he was close, but a healthy Matt Milano not coming off these injuries would have made that play. So he's someone to watch to me. I think he can. I think we can see playoff Matt Milano come back, but he has not shown what he has in the past in recent games.
I posted something on X during the Jets game when Matt Milano missed a tackle, and I said, Matt Milano just doesn't look like he has that extra gear that he used to have that made him an all-pro. Right. That speed to go with the instincts and the knowledge and the know-how. And then a couple plays later, he made a couple of huge plays and a tackle in the backfield.
And on your face
and I got flamed. I got flamed in the comments, right?
But that's good. Yeah. That's good that you said that.
Hey, people are holding me accountable, man.
Yeah,
and you were there. You backed up what you said.
Matt heard it too. But I remember that game and those possessions, and then I remember seeing him get on the fumble recovery.
Right.
And when he went for that fumble recovery, I said, "Oh wow, he didn't think about anything. He just went in for that ball. He didn't think about no injuries, and that gave me hope for him. So I'm looking forward to see what he does this upcoming game also."
Elena, DeMar Hamlin gets the backing of head coach Sean McDermott going into the postseason. That was on some people's mind as we finished up the regular season. What are your you think that holds steady, or you think Cole Bishop ends up with a bigger role and ends up on the field a little bit more?
That's an interesting one. I think there are some people who have been a little more down on DeMar than I have been. I definitely think, there's things you'd want to see from him that we haven't seen at times this year. But I also think, to kind of the way Sean said it on Monday, he kind of talked about that some. He's been the starting safety. So to me, to put Cole Bishop like a rookie in a position where like you're now going to be like DeMar's healthy on the sideline, but you're going to be the starter in a playoff game. Like I do think also we have to recognize like yes, Cole's been playing well, but at some point like the experience and like what DeMar's done is important, and also what he's built with Taylor Rapp. Like he's been on the field so much more this year with Taylor Rapp than Cole Bishop has, and I think that matters, especially in the postseason where it's like there's not time to like question things and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cole Bishop at some time in these playoffs. That wouldn't. He has been playing much better, and like that's important. But to me, like, I don't know. I think it's hard because we're left with this Patriots game we just watched was not the safety's best game. Like we don't have to beat around the bush on that. It wasn't great. But I do think like DeMar has shown at times this year he can do the job. And I think if it becomes an issue, like yes, Cole Bishop, we might see more of him. But to me, I understand like DeMar makes sense to me to start off this playoff stretch.
Yeah. I like that point of view also. You know, I don't see why we take out, you know, DeMar at this point. It's kind of similar to putting Bo Nix in and having to put those pressures and seeing if he can, you know, accomplish what comes at him. We know what DeMar can do. We understand that Cole Bishop is a great talent, but if DeMar's healthy, I don't see them sitting DeMar. You know, I just see them utilizing both of them at some point.
And keep an eye out, too, if they utilize all of the safeties at some point. 3 safeties on the field.
Yeah.
A big dime package.
Indeed.
Put somebody in the nickel. That sort of thing, especially when you're trying to throw different things at a rookie quarterback or down the road in the playoffs, things that teams haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
That's a package they have not unveiled.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I would say also looking towards the future. If we're thinking the Baltimore Ravens is that team, we may need to go to a 3 safety package to, you know, hammer down on Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, it might work out to us if we can play everybody.
Yeah, especially it didn't go well the first time against the Ravens, right? So you have to get creative with how you're doing that, and I think like all sorts of packages could be involved in that for sure.
Elena, other than Josh Allen, who do you think will step up big time during a postseason run?
I think I'm gonna pick a group because I don't want to. I think this offensive line. I think an underrated part of this offense has been like I don't think we talk enough about the job this offensive line has done, and to me like. To end, like, I mean that for, like, the running game and protecting Josh. Like, I think we talk about the success James Cook has had. He's played great, but I think a lot of that is due to what this offensive line has done. I mean, Josh was sacked the fewest times of his career. That's a big deal, and it's helped him a lot. So I think if this postseason goes well, a big tribute will go to what that offensive line has done. And, like, I will give a tip of my cap always to Deion Dawkins, and like because he can't not, but there's other guys too. Yeah, but the other guys too. I think the interior of the offensive line we don't talk about a lot. They've also had a really good season. Connor McGovern at center for the first time with Josh Allen's played really well. So I think that to me will be the key to their success as well.
Yeah, that was one of the big question marks going into this season was Mitch Morse leaves. You move Connor McGovern over. You bring David Edwards in to play guard. How is that going to go? Like Josh Allen has been with Mitch Morse for a long time. Mitch Morse is a very good player in the NFL. And Connor McGovern, for the first time playing center in the NFL since college, has done fantastically. And he stabilized that position. Cyrus Torrance, really good next to Spencer. So that group of guys has really formulated together. How about Spencer Brown and the way he's solidified his spot? Still takes a few penalties. I think that's kind of in his nature, but how has he solidified that right tackle spot?
Yeah, he's also saving the Sabres. Like, I don't know if you've heard about that, but he takes a lot of credit for helping the Sabres winning streak. Yes. So, but no, I think we came into the season like Spencer's dealt with a lot of injuries, a lot of inconsistency, but this season he's played really well. He's a huge step, and they rewarded him with an extension even before we really got into the season. So I think that shows the confidence they had in him to get it done. So yeah, he's had a great season. I think that's a good sign for the future because they've got these tackles with Josh Allen for the long term, and this season's very encouraging for that for sure.
Elena, final score for Sunday.
It's tough because I always, like, with this Bills offense, I always assume they're going to at least score 30 points, but I think this Broncos defense, I'm getting some help from the crowd. I'll go 27-17.
Inching closer to 30 points with each game.
I think this Bills offense can still, this this Broncos defense is good. I think Josh Allen likes to make a statement in the wild card round, so I'm going to give him a good amount of points.
Josh Allen MVP in your mind?
Yes. Yes, he is, because...
Wait, it was a little hesitation. Talk to me. What you got to say, though? It was a little...
Yes, I do. I think it's difficult because I do think Lamar has also had a fantastic season, and I wish we didn't have to say that one should be MVP without. Like, I think we can say they were both really great, but I do think, like, I think this team without Josh Allen is not even remotely close to where they are, because I think he's had that great of a season. So to me, he's the MVP.
Elena, thanks again for coming
Thank
on
you
and
for
joining
having
us.
me. It's a pleasure. Thank
Great
you,
job.
guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do another round of Ask 13, Stevie. Stephen Barone from Depew, what do you think about our local Buffalo linebacker, Buffalo Joe Andreessen?
Yeah, hey, I love it. Shout out to Buffalo Joe. You know, he came from the bottom of the depth chart. He made his way. He was a fan favorite. He was a fan at first, and it's just special to see. It's good to see that he made the roster, stuck around, and he didn't just make the roster just because of a sympathy pick. You know, he's actually putting in work. So I'm looking forward to him evolving and growing on a bigger role in next year.
Andy, I mean, you've spent time with him, talked to him, interviewed him. You got to see plenty of playing time against the Patriots in the final game, which must be great for someone who grew up rooting for the Bills.
Yeah, it's an interesting story for him, who plays at Lancaster High School, goes away to college at the FCS level, is an All-American there, comes back to the University at Buffalo for his final season, and then he thinks, maybe I've got a shot to get drafted. And he told me before the draft, I did a story on him and his preparations for the draft, and he said, you know, one of the teams who's really been in touch throughout this process was the Buffalo Bills. And it worked out for him. The funny part is he actually had a tryout with the Chiefs before he had a tryout with the Bills. He ends up with the Bills. He goes through rookie mini camp. They sign him, and the rest is history. Every time the guy's on the field and he's given an opportunity, he shines. He makes the most of it. Does he want some plays back here or there? He'd be a critic of himself.
Yeah.
And against the Patriots, he said, you know, there were some plays I wish I had back, but overall, I think he is a player that in that Bills system where they bring guys up, UB-type guys, Cam Lewis, Jamarcus Ingram, that you can develop and grow these players into a key contributor on your team.
All right, the party continues. We now bring on Matt Perino from the Shout Podcast,
what up,
Syracuse.com.
LP.
Long
Joins
time
us
friend
now.
of the show.
Thanks for having me. Do you know,
Oh, here we go.
I grew up a Bills fan. I've told them this story before. I owned 3 jerseys over the course of my life. Chris Spielman back in the day,
Okay.
Terrell Owens, and Stevie Johnson.
Yo,
Nice.
hey, love MP.
1-3 was my guy, man.
Let's hear it for 1-3.
Appreciate you. Thank you. I mean, hey, I always wanted to, you know, be a part of a community. When I came to Buffalo, I didn't see a connection with the players and the fans, you know, and I wanted to be the guy to make that connection. And, you know, I'm blessed to be here right now, still making that connection.
And the way you did it was great, right?
I mean, look, I'm just trying to handle business and have fun, man.
Taking to Twitter, asking God.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I'm blessed to have it be, you know what I'm saying, what it is now, you know, whether it was good or bad, you know.
That connection was real. Guys, let's talk about maybe some concerns, Matt, as we head into the postseason here. We've talked about the problem getting off the field on third down, not being able to get to the quarterback. Early in the season, I thought the everybody eats mantra was kind of backfiring on them, but it seems like it's clicking so well right now. I mean, I was super critical of Mac Hollins and why he was being used at the beginning of the year. Now I love the guy. You know, he plays such a big role with the team. So are there concerns in your mind as we head into the postseason?
Well, I think one of the concerns that still seems to permeate throughout the fan base comes down to Sean McDermott. And I think the version of Sean McDermott that we've seen this year feels different. Every conversation that I've had in the building, players, coaches, front office, there's a looseness to Sean McDermott and what he's been this year that's been different. And they're going to need that version of him in the playoffs when it gets tight in the game. This week, it might not be that situation. I think the Denver Broncos are a fine team. The Bills should blow the doors off of them this weekend.
I agree.
They have not played. The Denver Broncos have not played well against good teams. Taking out the Chiefs game the other day, they're 1-5 against playoff teams with a minus 35 point differential. So when they play elite teams, and don't get it twisted, the Bills are an elite team, they don't show up, they don't play well. And that's to be expected with a rookie quarterback. What they really do well is they put your quarterback in quicksand. Joe Burrow was fighting for his life a couple weeks ago. Josh Allen thrives in that situation. So I don't see a situation this week where they're going to face a scenario where they can't find a way out of it. But as the games get harder, the Ravens at home, potentially the Chiefs on the road again, you need Sean McDermott to have a Josh Allen moment this playoffs and shut up all the doubters, because there's still a lot still within this fan base.
And I'm really happy with what McDermott has shown. I feel like he's shown progress, evolution in managing his staff. Managing his players, of course, but managing his staff, giving them opportunity to, to grow. When I'm speaking on Brady, speaking on Babbage, with Brady, you still got to call those plays, because McDermott's not calling those plays. Is Joe Brady. So he's got to give him that trust and that power to do what he wants to and go through those humps. And with Joe Brady, it's tough because he's not on the field. So earlier when Kev was saying, hey, why is Mac out there? It was the intangibles. It was the little things. He has structure in his routes that the receivers didn't have. The younger receivers with Samuel, he wants to run fast. He wants to get to where he wants to prove himself. Keon wanted to run fast and show his skill. But really, that's not what Josh needed. We don't need you to get there fast. It's a certain time that we need you to get there. And it was certain plays where I would see Keon above Mac when he shouldn't be, So it was time that they needed to progress and evolve, and that's what McDermott did. He showed that patience and let his team grow, and look at where they at now. Successfully going to the playoffs as a 2 seed.
What do you think it is about Sean that has changed in the mindset, and is it a purposeful way to not show that he's tight in tight situations? Because that's been the knock on him, that when things get tight, he might not make the best decisions out there.
It's a couple things. Like, first of all, I think when you reach rock bottom, and 13 seconds, probably rock bottom, right? Like, that whole situation, it's not going to get any worse from there. Like, I don't think you could dream up a worse way to lose a football game than the way that they did. And I think there's a calming thing that comes along with having Josh Allen as your quarterback and learning to lean into that. As a defensive guy, I think you almost it's in your DNA to just default to playing defensive-minded football. But when you have a freak at the quarterback position, you got to trust that the freak's going to get you out of problems, and you got to meet that aggressiveness at the quarterback position with how you coach in the game. I will say, I agree with you. He's been much more dialed into the details and being aggressive when the moment calls for it. The one moment this year that caused pause for me was in L.A. with the timeout in that on that last possession with them having a chance to score. You have Tom Brady on the broadcast basically telling you, do not call a timeout under any circumstance, and he called the timeout and basically ended the game in that moment. If the game ends that way, I don't think Sean McDermott's on a hot seat. I don't think his seat is any bit warm. It's as cool as it can be in the NFL. Fan bases around the league, so many Bills fans, I love them, have forgotten what 2015 felt like and 2010 felt like, right? And I have family members that blow up my text message during the game. I'm working, I'm writing stories. I come out, and there's 30 text messages with bad words about Sean McDermott.
What are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's been a consistent level of winning since he got here.
Right.
It's now just about that next step and fulfilling that process that he laid out 8 years ago. And I think he's better positioned mentally and with the roster that he has than he's ever been.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
A lot of talk about Andy Reid and a guy who took a long time to get over the hump. You just have to get there, right? You keep cracking at it, you keep pushing, and you try to make that happen. Doesn't always happen for everybody, but I think if you give yourself enough shots and you've got a player like Allen, and McDermott he's set up this organization for success overall. Has he won the big one yet? No, but it doesn't mean he can't.
Right. And, yeah.
Tyler Bass, Matt, is that a concern going into this?
I mean, yes.
It is to me.
But I think kickers in general are a concern. I mean, you got
Okay.
Harrison Button. This has been the weirdest year
Yeah.
for kicking the football that I can remember in the NFL. And, of course, it's hyper-focused in Buffalo. Every miss that Tyler Bass has after the miss at the end of the season last year is – but they've shown a belief in him that I think potentially could play off. I mean, from a player's perspective, the emotion that was in that locker room when he hit that big kick middle of the season and the way that he kind of – leaned on all of his teammates and said, you guys were there for me, you believed in me. Like, I think that's the kind of thing that can build to a big moment in the playoffs where this is, don't forget, the first couple of years of this guy's career, he was as nails as it got.
Right.
I don't think you just one day wake up and forget how to be a kicker. He's still a young player. He's not even, what is this, his 5th year in the league? He's still kind of going through it. I think you place your trust in him for a playoff run and see where the chips fall.
Yeah, same. I feel the same with you on that. I like what Bass has been doing throughout his career. Yeah, he's had some ups and downs this year, but I think it goes to the culture that McDermott and that Bills staff has built there. You see the guys that support him. You don't have to think. He don't have to think about those missed field goals. He's just thinking about the support and the love that he got, and he's ready to go knock down that next one. We talked about Connor McGovern, his first year being a center. He's not worried. They're having the best year of their life or of their career because the culture that they have, they're together, you know. So when you're stronger together playing as a team, you don't really put that extra pressure on yourself to try to do the most to win the game as an individual. And that's what we're seeing collectively as the entire Buffalo Bills team.
Matt, key player during the postseason that's not Josh Allen that will have either a big impact or maybe a big moment at some point.
I'm so glad you asked me this question because I put out a tweet about this very topic yesterday, and I got a lot of different responses. I asked the question, if the Bills make it to the Super Bowl, who is the first player not named Josh Allen that we're talking about? For me, it's Ed Oliver. Because if you look across this roster, Amari Cooper was the 4th overall pick 10 or 11 years ago. He's a bona fide star at the position that he plays. He's a little older, right? Ed Oliver is the only other top 10 homegrown pick on this roster. They drafted him to be an impact player at the point of attack. They're going to go against, most likely, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, maybe Jared Goff. They're going to need that guy that creates chaos from the defensive side of the ball. Could it be Greg Rousseau? 100% it could be. But I feel like Ed Oliver has been so quiet this season. He's had one big game against Detroit a couple weeks ago. To me, it's been the reverse of years past when the Bills' defense has kind of descended into the playoffs, where I feel like this year that defensive front could be ascending into the playoffs. And I feel like Ed Oliver is a guy, these three matchups, the Denver Broncos' offensive line is good. Interior-wise against Baltimore and KC, I think he can eat a little bit, so I'm going Ed Oliver.
How about your MVP pick this year? Is it Josh Allen?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And, you know, first of all, the conversation around Lamar, Josh, has been so devastating to kind of watch.
It's horrible.
Like from a sports fan perspective, because it's turned into all of this other stuff that I feel like, first of all, whenever you got two fan bases that are arguing for their guy, it's going to turn into this just like back and forth, nasty stuff going back and forth. I don't think there's a bad pick between the two of these guys. I think they could play the next 10 years, and they could each have 5 MVPs, and I would say, yeah, that makes sense because they're that good of a player. But if you just rewind the clock 4 months ago to what everybody was saying about the Buffalo Bills, including Andy Young for the Spectrum Sports Podcast, the Bills are supposed to take a nosedive off this thing. Okay, just making sure.
I don't think it was as far as a nosedive.
Okay, I'm sorry.
To your point, continue.
Excuse me. What he's done with what's around him, and I think there's more talent around him than what's nationally given credit for. But Lamar has Derrick Henry, first ballot Hall of Famer, two first-round wide receivers in Bateman and Flowers. And if you look at the separation numbers, to me, that is mind-boggling to see the amount of separation his weapons are getting compared to what they're getting in Buffalo. Josh Allen has just done more, I hate to say with less, but even just looking at the Pro Bowl selections, there just seems to be more talent personnel-wise on Baltimore, and the definition of the award is most valuable player. For me, that's Allen this year.
Final score for Sunday.
Tune in Saturday night from
Of
Wingnuts.
course. All right.
The Shout podcast will be live. Check it out.
Oh, maybe I'll go this time.
Come on out. Come on out.
Maybe I'll come out this
Thanks,
time.
Gav.
Hey, before we let you go, Joe Brady, open head coaching spots. Do you think he gets a job and moves on, and what team?
So I think he will be offered a job.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. I don't think ultimately he takes the job, because I think if you look around the league over the last couple of years to a couple of these coordinators, there's a reason Ben Johnson is still calling plays in Detroit, because he's not going to just take any opportunity that's handed to him. Like Brian Dable, great offensive coordinator, goes to New York, has success the first year,
Right.
and then the wheels fall off, and you could see the stress that guy's living with every single day. Joe Brady could have the next 2 years of his career as an offensive play caller with maybe the greatest quarterback that's ever played the position, or the most freak, alien, athletic quarterback that's ever played the position. Why not lean into that? You're still a very young coordinator, but if somebody throws the bag at him, I'm not ruling it out.
Right,
But
right.
I think there's problems with all the jobs that are available, and I just don't know if any of those are the one I'm leaving Josh Allen for.
Indeed.
All right,
Indeed.
Matt. Thanks as
for
always.
having me,
Enjoy
guys.
your
My
ice
guy.
bath.
Thank you, sir. Great insight.
Well done, MP.
Another round of Ask 13.
Hey, let's hear it
Stevie.
for Matt Perino there.
All right, Matt. This is from J Money, Stevie. Are there any negative reasons or fears of losing key players if the Bills manage a Super Bowl win, especially for next season?
I have no fear at all. You know, shout out to my guy Dennis back there, Cigar Mafia. We had 13 victories, and you heard me on a post game saying sweet victory, and it's all because of the team. You know, whether somebody went down with an injury or had to sit down because somebody came back from an injury. The Buffalo Bills, they're there to play the game, and they're there to compete. You see it from the linebacker position with Dorian Williams. He stepped in after Milano was injured, and he competed all season. He steps out. Milano comes back. He's competing. Not at the same caliber, but he's getting there. Then you see Dorian come back in, not to mention guys on other teams who was in those situations, and they didn't even decide to come back in to play. So we got a special culture and team around here, whether people are injured or are off the field. They're all locked in and focused.
All right, one more. Robbie Snyder from Depew. Josh Allen, 300 yards.
300 yards this week. I don't know if it matters. I'll say yeah, just because. Why not?
right?
Yeah, why not? But I think he's going to control the Denver Broncos. I don't know if it's going to be 300 yards, but he's going to control his team.
All right, let's take a look at Vegas and how they see this game playing out and what we think is going to happen this weekend. Bills -9, Stevie, going into this game. I think they cover that pretty easily. I do.
Yeah, I think so also. I chose the over on it. Not that I look too much into it. Not that I care about the over or under. I just want the win. But I definitely see the Bills winning by more than 8 points, more than 9 points.
Over under 47, Andy.
I'm going to say over.
I'm
Just
going with
barely.
the over, too.
Just barely, because I think the Bills are going to put up some points, but the Broncos might put up some points too.
Plus, the under is boring.
The under is always boring. If you bet a game and you're watching and rooting for the under, that's tough, man, to watch. Don't score, right?
Absolutely.
But if it's 30-13, that's the under, right? Because was it 47 or 46? What is it?
47.
40. Yeah. I'm going with the under. I'm thinking 30-13, 30, something like that.
See, I'm looking at final score for this. Something like 38-14.
Okay, they're going even higher with the 38. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm going
further in the
nuts on this
30s.
one.
Okay.
Josh Allen's going off for you.
Okay.
This is going to be fun.
Hey, one big factor that we haven't talked a lot about yet is the health of the Bills, and it looks like they are
Right.
pretty darn healthy going into this game. Terrell Bernard, full go after he dealt with a quad injury. Brandon Codrington, the kick and punt returner,
I know.
really the only guy who's missing because of injury right now. That is a little bit of a concern, but overall, this Bills team pretty darn healthy right now. That's got to be huge going into the playoffs.
How's our guy who came out of the backfield and scored that touchdown? What was his name? The receiver? Came out of the backfield, number 80. Scored the quick screen.
Oh, Shavers.
Shavers.
Tyrell Shavers.
Did he have any snaps on special team with Condrington being out?
I'm not sure.
No.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I just seen that speed that he had going from 0 to 100, and I thought he could be utilized
Right.
on special
A
teams
few
for
years
sure.
ago, they put Micah Hyde back there to field punts.
Maybe
We'll
Ty
see.
Johnson.
Yeah.
You know, he's certainly capable of it. Ray Davis returns kicks. We'll see.
Yeah, so there are other possibilities there. Stevie, you have a special guest joining us today, too,
Yeah.
for a special cause.
Yeah, so this is my partner, Brenna Lupo, VP of YMCA.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Yes, of course.
So yeah, we do a lot of work in the community, and we have along with our books, we have sports custom chairs, and what we have is a raffle going on where you can select it. We have 2 chairs available, and all of the proceeds will go to families around Western New York. Every dollar is going to families in Western New York, right?
Yeah, every dollar stays right in Western New York. We don't want any child or family turned away from the YMCA due to their inability to pay. So those chairs are from my custom sports chairs. Each are valued at $450 a piece. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, we'll carry this through the playoffs.
Yep.
We'll carry it through the playoffs and select a winner during Super Bowl, and we'll have 2 winners.
We'll have 2 winners.
Yeah.
We have 2 chairs. Each chair is signed by Stevie and
And
Eric Wood.
Yep.
One features Stevie's jersey with his custom "Why So Serious?" Because why not? Let's go. And the other one is the front cover and back cover of Eric Wood's Centers on What's Good. So we're really excited. 1 entry for $5, 3 for $13. Because
Easy.
why
Easy.
would we
Yeah.
not do that? 5 for $20. So that'll be live soon.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank
really
you, guys.
appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you
and all the
for
good
joining
work you do in the community.
We appreciate it. We
Thank you.
appreciate the support. Go Bills.
Absolutely.
Go Bills forever. One love, Brennan.
All right, guys. 2-minute drill.
2-minute
as
drill.
we start to wrap up here. We got 2 minutes to go here. We've been asking the guests who have joined us who their surprise player that's not Josh Allen is going to be in this one. I've been obsessed with Mac Hollins the entire year. Whether I didn't like him to now liking him, I think he has a moment. I think he has one of those moments as the Bills make their run to the Super Bowl that it is forever in highlights. Be it who's the guy from the Giants who caught that ball against
the
the
head,
Patriots?
right?
Yeah,
David Tyree.
David Tyree,
Okay.
he's the guy who's going to have the moment like that. What do you think?
Okay, I'm going to go with Terrell Bernard. I'm going to go with Bernard. As much as I want to go with the defensive line, I feel like Bernard's position is going to be crucial for the Buffalo Bills going on, maybe not this week, but next week, and then going into that championship game. We'll see some big plays, I feel, from him that's going to change the game, the dynamics of the game.
My X factor is Ty Johnson, and we've seen it throughout the course of this season. What he was able to do against the Rams, against the Lions, counted on in big spots. He's on the field for 3rd downs all the time because they trust him more than anybody else in pass protection, and they've started to utilize him in the passing game, and he's more than capable. And I like that 300 triumvirate of running backs that the Bills have. James Cook gets the headlines, Ray Davis, the rookie, the pounder. But Ty Johnson is really an X factor and a guy that people don't really game plan for, but he makes big plays.
I really like Ty. He's got great energy.
All right, it's going to be fun. I mean, here it is. And like we said at the beginning, this is what everyone's been waiting for, is to get the postseason back underway again, Stevie, and maybe just move on from what went wrong in the past and get back to that Super Bowl down in New Orleans. One more Ask Stevie before we go from Zach M. from Buffalo. What's a position within the organization that most people don't know how important it is?
Are we talking about on the field, or are we talking about just inside the
Let's
organization
say on
at
the
all?
field.
We'll do on the field.
On the field, the center position. I mean, let's shout out Connor McGovern again. The first time playing center, and then you're the head of it. Like, that's huge, and to give up only, 14 or 8 sacks? I mean, that's special. That's something that's worth mentioning. So I would definitely go to the guys that don't get the most notoriety, and I'm going to say the offensive line, and most importantly, the center with his first year, Connor McGovern.
All right, here we go. It's the Bills taking on the Broncos. Coming up Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Playoff football,
at Highmark
baby.
Stadium with
Let's
a
go,
chance to move
Buffalo.
on to the divisional round. As always, everybody, thanks for joining us. For Stevie and Andy, We'll see you after the game on Sunday.
Awesome. Shout out to Big Ditch, too. This was great.
Yes.
Shout out Big
My
Ditch,
bad.
baby.
Thank you.
Big
Cheers.
Ditch did a wonderful job. Thanks for everybody who came. Let's hear it. Come on.
Hey, let's go, Buffalo. Where else would you rather be than right here